What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I gave myself enough time to go ahead and grind out the brand new map, Blackwell Fields, a decent portion to give myself a good understanding of what it is all about. And I'll be real with you guys, I think today I wanted to put together, a video discussing, that I don't think this map is all that bad. And the reasons for exactly why I feel this way. Of course, there are still negatives with the map, and there's still things that have to be adjusted to make sure it's actually fair across the board. But a lot of people are saying it's the worst in the whole franchise. And to be honest, I have a really different take. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, before we go ahead and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. It posts twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, before I go ahead and share my takes, I wanted to showcase to you guys something I saw over on Reddit, and don't worry, I actually found this on Low Sodium Battlefield, which is basically the nice version of the Battlefield subreddit board, instead of just 24/7 just bashing devs, bashing game, horrible this, horrible that. No constructive criticism. It's a completely different world over there. So, if you guys are craving a different vibe, I would definitely suggest hitting it up over on Reddit. But this is a post by Venom456, and I gotta be real with you guys, I thought I was one of the only people who was like semi-enjoying Blackwell Fields, if you go based only off of the main Reddit page, but after seeing this, it gave me a little bit of hope. This individual said, "Who else actually enjoys Blackwell Fields? The few games I played this afternoon were great. Topped the leaderboards every time and had a blast. At first, I was a bit concerned hearing that everyone was dying as soon as they spawned, but I didn't have that experience at all. There's plenty of space for flanks around the hills. There were plenty of times where I managed to sneak around and kill the snipers up on the hills. I found that the objectives are spaced out well, and you could easily spend a whole match as a squad, defending a point in the backline, flanking around to take the enemy backline objectives of rushing straight onto the front lines." And it got 1.5k likes, upvotes here, man. Again, on a page that doesn't really have too many people actually on it compared to the base, Battlefield board. These are some pretty impressive numbers, and it makes me very happy to see that I am indeed not the only one who actually enjoys Blackwell Fields to a certain extent. Now, first and foremost, I would like to go over the negatives with this map, just to, make them clear, get them out of the way right now, and then I can go over everything that I think is awesome. First and foremost, I do believe the boundaries should be spread a bit further. I think the boundaries are a tad bit tight, which makes flying around in helicopters or jets a little bit more difficult, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's not much wiggle room, and, it's very easy to make a mistake. I mean, all you got to do is just get caught out in the open for a half a second, and your whole run is going to get absolutely demolished. So, I do believe the boundaries could use a little love. And on top of that, the air vehicles, not only are the boundaries a little tight for them, and for infantry, of course, it'd be nice to have a little bit more room for infantry, but they're incredibly hard to have a good time with on this map, just in general, because of the AA being so overwhelming. Now, I do know we have the IFV bug that's, going out right now, and it's still not resolved, by the time I'm recording this video. It might be soon. I'm hoping, please, DICE, get this update out. But just in general, it's kind of annoying to be a pilot on this map, especially since you can get sniped out of your spawn before you even take off in the jet. I don't know how they would go about changing this. Maybe you just, you're not allowing the jets to be spawned in and you take off yourself from the runway. Maybe take that away and just start the jets in the sky. It kind of sucks because I like taking off from the runway, but I mean, that's like one of the only things I could think of, because other than that, they would have to change some of the layout of the map to add additional cover so jets could actually spawn in without getting completely demolished before taking off. I gotta be real with you guys, that was, I don't want to be mean, but that really was a boneheaded design decision. But ladies and gentlemen, other than that, I actually enjoy the map a decent amount, but again, you have to come in with a respective mindset about it. Now, first and foremost, Breakthrough on this map is out frickin' standing. It might be one of my favorite Breakthrough maps to go ahead and play on. And the final sector, where there's 3 separate, sectors that you have to go ahead and take over, is just absolute chaos and a ton of fun, even on the defensive end as well. So I gotta be real, Breakthrough is awesome. And for those who are a little salty about it being a little too wide open and spacious, I would suggest just playing Breakthrough on it, and it will completely change your perspective. But for Conquest, that's where it shakes things up a little bit. And I gotta be real with you guys, I'm kind of shocked, but this is the reality of a lot of games. You will never be able to please absolutely everyone, and that goes for every single game out there. Every game that I've personally covered as well. There's always going to be different crowds, and that's allowed, right? Everybody has different opinions. Some people like more wide open maps. Some people like more condensed maps, city maps. Some people like naval maps, Some people like small Call of Duty maps. Everybody has a different perspective when it comes down to it. And it's just kind of funny, though, because in the beginning of the game, everybody's complaining that there's way too much cover. It feels like every single, map that we have gotten funnels down into like 1, 2, 3 lanes, all cities with a bunch of buildings, and people are begging for more open maps. And here we go. We got an open map. And now a lot of players are pissed off about that, and it's not even like they're pissed off about, maybe the layout. Maybe they don't like the layout of the map, or, maybe they're just not fans. I don't know. The main reason is because it's quote-unquote too open, sniper-friendly, vehicle-friendly. But as I stated, that's what people were begging for. Everybody said the maps were too condensed, they weren't good for vehicles, and basically the majority of the designs were catered towards SMGs and ARs, which I don't completely agree with. I feel like a lot of different weapons are valuable on all the maps across the board, but, that was the general idea that a lot of people had with Battlefield 6 when it first launched. So they gave us a map that is made for vehicles and made for, openness. And a lot of people are salty about that. But again, like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And I know a lot of you guys aren't the hypocrites that I'm talking about. A lot of you guys just might not like it because you just don't like the layout. And as I stated, that is fair. But for me personally, I don't mind it at all. And I usually am pretty, accepting of maps that want to change your playstyle. I think the hardest part is people don't want to change their style of play when it comes to specific maps. And like I said, I see this across the board on all different games that I play. If an SMG player loves playing with SMGs, they're not going to want to play a map that's made for a sniper or a tank or something like that. But there's a lot of maps in Battlefield that are like that you just got to kind of suck it up and either A, hop into a vehicle, or B, pull out some longer range weapons. And when you do that, honestly, Conquest, within this overall map design, plays pretty dang solid. It might not be the best map in the universe. I'm not saying this is like, A++ when it comes to map design in the Battlefield world. But I definitely don't think it's the worst of all the maps. And I have a very fun time riding around in tanks, having a squad, trying to hold down a vehicle together, pulling out a longer range rifle and getting some sniping. And I'll be real, I am an AR SMG type of guy. And the more that I've played it, the more I've gotten used to the routes that I have to take in order to stay safe and stay away from sniper fire. It took me a little bit of time, but I like it. I actually have a decent time. But as I stated, I needed to shift my mentality in order to get into the groove of the overall map, which is, again, pretty hard for a lot of people to do. But for a open-ish map that's made for vehicles, might not be the best, but I still think that it's pretty dang solid. It's fun. You can get some really cool engagements. Vehicle v vehicle combat is, actually enjoyable. The helicopters and jets, like I said, that's the roughest part of this map right now. But for vehicle versus vehicle and vehicle versus, player, those engagements are so exciting on this map, and it's really engaging. And running out in the oil fields on the one side of the map, dipping and weaving between tiny little, hills that you can use as cover if you go prone, and, all the oil rigs that you could just go behind and use as cover. I find that very engaging, a lot of fun. And also on the other side of the map where you have the big hill, that's really enjoyable too. You just gotta, learn how to work the hill is what I have learned. If you play too far back from the hill, you will always be at a disadvantage. But from what I can tell, if you can get a nice sneaky play up there, you will get a lot of sniper kills. Not sniper kills, but I'm sorry, you will kill a lot of snipers. I can't tell you guys how many times I've snuck up to that hill with an SMG or AR and taken down 4, 5, 6 players along with my squad. Just because they're, again, they feel comfy on the hill. They're not really expecting anybody to go ahead and flank. And I promise you, once more people get used to this map, they're going to know how to flank. And these plays are going to be happening a lot more frequently. But ladies and gentlemen, to go ahead and summarize everything up here, I like this map. I do. It's not my favorite in the world, but I definitely don't agree with everyone out there saying that this is the worst map in Battlefield history. And honestly, I feel like saying that is just trying to, get some people ruffled up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that people could possibly believe that this is the worst of the worst. Yes, it has its cons, and yes, the air vehicles are getting kind of screwed. But when it comes to the worst in the franchise, I would not say such. Personally, I think I would rate it at around a 6.5 to 7. I'm leaning more towards 6.5 because, again, the air vehicles definitely kind of cut off from it. I think the boundary should definitely be larger for a bit more freedom. And I gotta be honest with you guys, as much as I still enjoy riding around the vehicles, you guys see the gameplay on this channel all the time. You'll see me in an IFV, you'll see me in a tank. I'm even trying to get some chopper gameplay for you guys for the channel. I enjoy the vehicles, but I still enjoy infantry the most. I'm just going to be honest. I always have in Battlefield games. So any map that kind of, hyper prioritizes vehicles, not bad, right? I'm not saying that's bad, but for me personally, on my personal levels, that kind of deducts points for me. But I will say, what makes this map rate higher for me than other, vehicle-based maps is the fact that it's so fun for infantry to still go ahead and play. It might be confusing at first, but once, like I said, you learn the routes and you learn how to actually maneuver, you will see that there are plenty of spots for an AR or even an SMG. I use SMGs on this map all the time, not just in Breakthrough as well. I use it in Conquest. There are a lot of spots for you to be able to maneuver and take down vehicles as well. This is an engineer's, favorite dream right here, being able to play on this map. There's tons of vehicles to mess around with, and also being able to take over the hill, you have a nice advantage over tanks who are just kind of suckers down by the oil field. There's so many creative things that you could do, so that bumps my score up a little bit more. So I think I'm going to be settling down on a 7 when it comes to Blackwell Fields. Yes, it needs more work, and I hope the developers put in that work to kind of perfect it. I don't know if they will, to be honest with you guys. But where it currently stands, I still enjoy it. And believe it or not, I put it in my rotation quite frequently because I enjoy the vibes, the atmosphere, the look, and also, like I said, the overall map layout. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next one. Peace out.